Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. It is Friday. It's Fun Friday. It's Football Friday. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Proud to be a part of Utah's ESPN radio network and Utah's #1 sports talk. Scott Mitchell here filling in for Sean. So glad you could join us. I love Fridays. Every day is a Friday to me, but it is actually the actual Friday, so we get to double celebrate that it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. It's Fun Friday. It's Fantastic Friday. It's Football Friday. So much to talk about in today's show. The Masters is going on right now. So we're going to talk to Ann Liguori, who's a national writer and covers people who are passionate about the game of golf. And, of course, Bill Riley joins us. Sarah Todd's going to talk a little bit about the Utah Jazz. Lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff to talk about. And I have a few things to share on my own, of my own. So Martin, my producer, Kelly, which you just heard the Down and Dirty here leading into the show, always fills me full of good questions to talk about. So we'll do that as well. So if you want to listen to us, you can. You can listen to us right now, or you can listen to us live stream on ESPN700sports.com, the ESPN 700 app. Your smart speaker, just tell it to play ESPN 700. We're also on YouTube at ESPN 700 Sports Utah and the old podcast form. You can get that wherever you get your podcasts, or you can go to ESPN700sports.com or the ESPN 700 app. Just search for the Sean O'Connell Show. Okay, so since it's a Fun Friday and it's a Football Friday, I want to talk about something that's dear to my heart this morning, this mid-morning here in Utah, this beautiful spring mid-morning. I want to talk about just, kind of some news and notes, things that are happening around the NFL. Some of them actually have some local implications. Well, they all should have local implications because, hey, let's face it, we all love football. And football is 24/7, 365. The Utes are in spring practice. The NFL is getting ready for its draft. And there are guys that are signing, and there are guys that aren't signing. They're unsigning. They're getting released. So Joe Flacco actually has signed a 1-year contract with the Cleveland Browns. Now, this to me, I don't know. I kind of shake my head at this. I shake my head at it for simply this reason. Joe Flacco was really good in the year that he played for the Cleveland Browns, and he was so good that they didn't want to have him come back. And the reason they didn't want to have him come back is they were trying to make Deshaun Watson good, right? They didn't want the competition.
They already committed all this money to Deshaun. He was coming back from injury. They didn't need a good quarterback to be competing with Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
And here's what you kind of figure and should learn from one of the greatest, hey, that guy shouldn't be playing stories in the NFL. That's Tom Brady, right? When he came in and he played for an injured Drew Bledsoe, and Drew Bledsoe was an all-pro guy, the guy that they'd thrown all the money at. Bill Belichick said, this guy is giving us a chance to win. And in my mind, I'm like, why would you ever get rid of Joe Flacco? I felt that when they did it before. They were trying to underplay Joe Flacco. And the thing about Joe Flacco and what he's done that Deshaun Watson has not done, he's won a Super Bowl. And I've always been a fan of Joe Flacco. So I'm very impressed with him as a player. I think he's quite underrated, quite frankly. Now, what's interesting to me about this is Joe Flacco want to go back there. I'm sure there were other opportunities for Joe Flacco. He even said, he talked to other teams, namely the Pittsburgh Steelers. And can
you imagine? Sorry.
No.
Get you sidetracked, but can you imagine a guy who was known as a Raven Super Bowl champion with how heated that rivalry has become, and during his time especially, going and playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, probably starting as a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, that would have been really cool.
No, it's a good point, James, because in that division, like, you can go from the Steelers to like the Bengals, or the Bengals to the Steelers, or the Browns
to Browns.
The Browns, yeah. If you're in that division, you go from either the Steelers or the Ravens to the Browns or the Bengals. It doesn't matter. Like, no one cares. But if you go from one of those two, it's a national security issue. Like that's a serious problem.
It's like guys that there's plenty of them, plenty of Red Sox stars that wound up finish their careers with the Yankees or vice versa.
Yes.
More the other way around.
Yes. Yeah.
But it still is weird every time.
Yeah, it's just wrong. It's just there's certain things in sports. There's a certain sacred nature that you cannot defile in all of sports, and that is certainly one of them. And the same thing with the Red Sox and the Yankees. Yeah, it's just wrong. It's just absolutely. I'll tell you another.
I would have loved it
me.
if Flacco ended up as the Steelers starting quarterback, but I do like that he's back with the Browns.
Now here's one that bugged me, and it was Favre went to the Vikings.
Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah, it's just wrong. But I'll tell you what would have made it like really wrong is if Favre would have gone to Chicago. Or if Aaron Rodgers would have gone to Chicago.
After he said, I own you.
Could you imagine what happened? Like any quarterback really in, I don't know, the last half a century or, 3/4 of his, or, we'll give it 50 years.
Yeah.
Any quarterback from the Packers that goes to the Bears, that would just be – they would probably have to quit football. We just say the season, look, we got to suspend the season this year. Something's really weird in the whole universe. There's just no way for anyone to go to. In fact, that would be kind of a fun thing. I'm just making this up as we go along here. A question for the fans out there. Like what team it was almost as bad for me like with Karl Malone. Like Karl Malone went that 1 year to the Lakers. Like that was just embarrassing. That it took Karl Malone, who I had like tremendous respect for. He went down like about 8 notches on my belt when he went to the Lakers. So I'd be curious out there what teams are off limits. So if you play for one team, you can absolutely not go to another one. I wonder.
I'm gonna put that up on our Twitter.
Yeah.
We'll get some engagement that way. Text us 877-353-0700 if you have thoughts on that. Call us.
So
too.
can you go from Utah to BYU? Like
we've seen it happen. Or the other way.
Keanu Tunavasa just that one hurt.
More the other way around. More the other way around. Recently, we got Logan Fano, who we might hear from later from yesterday's practice. We've got,
and you could argue that it probably helped
Francis Bernard,
but Logan probably helped with Spencer coming.
Yeah,
Utah. I mean they kind of seem to be like a package deal. Now I was supposed to go to BYU and I went to Utah, and it was the unpardonable sin. So I'm curious what folks think about that. So that'll be fun. Anyways, it's like Joe Flacco going to the Browns, getting back to that, feels like to me it's like a day late and $1 short. Why did you give up a good thing? Everyone knows if someone's winning, you don't get rid of it. It was mind-boggling to me with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick was he was like the perennial, really good backup guy that he went to a billion teams, and every single one of them did well. And he actually did. He did too good a job, and they had to get rid of him because they wanted the other guy to be the guy. And it's like you're a general manager, you're a coach. You kind of don't have that luxury. You have the luxury of winning now. And people don't really care. People don't really care of like, oh, yeah, we made a mistake with a guy. 49ers, I think, are a great example of this. 49ers go, Trey Lance, we thought you had it. We climbed over everybody to get you. We were just enamored with something. I don't know what it was. And you weren't the guy. And guess who was the guy? Mr. Irrelevant was the guy. And we went with it. And look where it got us. It got us a lot further along than the Cleveland Browns have been. And so is Joe Flacco, I really hope Joe Flacco comes in and he'll probably play and do a nice job. But
they also acquired Kenny Pickett this offseason, Scott. They have the number 2 pick in the draft. If
they're not taking a quarterback.
Yeah, they're not. it doesn't appear that that's a quarterback with adding Flacco and Kenny Pickett and still having Deshaun Watson. But they have these. It's an interesting quarterback situation happening in Cleveland.
Now, if Abdul Carter goes number 1 to Tennessee, and they just go, we're not really convinced of Cam Ward. Maybe Cam Ward ends up in Cleveland. That may not be a bad thing. Here's another one that it's a local one. And it's kind of sad. So Matt Gay was released by the Colts. So Matt Gay, if you remember, was a great kicker at the University of Utah. Matt Gay was a soccer player.
Yeah, at
soccer
UVU.
player, yes, and was not, really, football was not a thing for him. And when it came to the University of Utah, had some big kicks. In fact, it was kind of funny. I met his dad through a church assignment, and he goes, I think my son's going to try to be a kicker. And it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And anyways, he turned out to be Matt Gay, but he signed the biggest free agent contract or contract in general for a kicker a couple of years ago. It was about $22.5 million.
Coming off of a Super Bowl championship with the Rams.
He had established himself as one of the top tier kickers in the NFL, and for whatever reason, just didn't quite seem to have, I guess it might be a little bit hard to kind of live up to an Adam Vinatieri.
Yeah,
I mean that would be a tough thing. And what was interesting to me about what Matt said is, he goes, kicking is so mental, and it just is. Like these guys can kick a ball and probably kick it through the uprights, 10 out of 10 times all the time, anytime, almost from anywhere.
And
but
those
man,
uprights,
pressure,
those uprights are wide too. Like not for you and I,
doesn't look like it.
For you and I, they're not wide enough, right?
Yeah.
But for guys who are kickers, whether they were soccer players before and turned into football kickers like Matt Gay or others, that's pretty wide. It does seem to be more about your mentality than it is about your physical ability.
I think it's harder to kick in college than it is in the NFL, and the simple reason that you pretty much kick from the middle of the field. It's just like throwing. You're always throwing from the middle of the field, more or less. The hash marks are fairly close, and it's the same thing kicking. You get those wider hash marks, you get in closer, and you get these really funky angles, and it has an appearance, and in all reality, it probably does shorten up the area which you can kick from those angles on the side. And then you get kickers that I like the guy, or I like the ball on the left side, or I like to get the ball on the right side, and so you're trying to give them all of the best scenario so they can have the highest percentage to kick. And it's just, for me, of course Matt Gay's a local guy and was really good at the University of Utah, and it's just kind of sad for me to see him go. Kickers are always a funny thing to me because they are head cases. Like punters are cool. Kickers, for the most part, there's a few that are like normal people. So like I look at Pat McAfee. If Pat McAfee was on my team, I'd love it.
Yeah.
Like the punters are just different. They're just now I was on a team with a guy named Reggie Roby, who kicked the ball like I've never seen anyone. I mean, it was just insane what Reggie Roby used to do. They used to have these kind of exhibitions. So we'd have a scrimmage against one of the teams. So you pair up with teams in the NFL. So like every year, it seemed like we'd travel to Tampa, or Tampa would come to Miami, and we'd practice for a couple of days. We'd have like a scrimmage. And then we would, and the first thing they did is they would do a kicking competition. And so they bring out Reggie Roby and whoever they brought to camp. And it was just an embarrassment because, like, Reggie Roby, there are a few things I've seen in my career in the NFL that were like that was impressive. Like it's, you see everything and it's kind of all the same. It's all really good. But then every once in a while, you'll see someone like Reggie Roby kick it. Or you'll watch Barry Sanders run, or Dan Marino throw the ball, whatever. And
Mitch Wisnowski punt, maybe.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah. It's really different, and that's how Reggie Roby was.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you, and Matt was really good at his kicks over 50. most of his career, but he was terrible in Indianapolis.
Yeah, he did not have a good year last year. I am a Colts fan, Scott, so I'm pulling for our guy Matt Gay. I thought it was a good signing when they brought him in. Unfortunately, just not up to his standard. And this is the second time he's been released, right? The Buccaneers released him after taking him as drafting him, which hardly ever happens to kickers. And then he turned it around and was really good for the Rams in their Super Bowl year. So this doesn't mean that his career has to be over, but
he'll probably play better now. He'll probably kick better.
But it is unfortunate that he couldn't stick with Indy.
Well, the hard thing too is, when you kick in a dome, it's kind of nice. Like, you shouldn't miss if you kick in a dome. You just never should miss. Now,
what if the AC's blowing just a little too hard?
Well, no, there was a little bit of that. I mean, there are some coaches that kind of open and shut like gates and things. Yeah, that create a
little draft,
a vortex. Yeah, Bill Parcells is famous for that one. I doubt it's actually true, but a guy like Belichick, I wouldn't put it past.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put it past. Look, let's just face it, James. They cheat in the NFL. Everybody cheats. You push the envelope. You try to have some edge, something. If you can psych out the kicker, if you can create a little bit of false wind, fake wind in a dome, you're going to do it.
Yeah,
they are going to do it. It doesn't matter. And you know what they do? It's like holding with offensive linemen. Offensive linemen hold. Defensive backs hold. Linebackers hold. Everybody holds. And
quarterbacks don't hold.
No. You better hold on to the ball. But
the few times that a quarterback's in a situation where they're blocking, they never hold, right, Scott?
No. It's called self-preservation at that time. If you have to be a blocker, it's
like more like a screen, a basketball screen. You just try to get in the way for half.
Everyone loves a reverse when the quarterback goes out and leads, and he makes an attempt to really block. You don't block guys. They laugh at you.
There's that. Remember the Titans reverse where Sunshine lays into the guy.
Yeah. That does not in the NFL. No, in fact, those guys are really happy to see you. And they're
like, yes, I get to hit you.
I'm just going to hit you hard. I don't care if I make the tackle on the reverse.
You don't know how to block. I'm going to hit you
as
hard as I can.
So you make it look good, but you're not good.
How many scenarios were you as a blocker? How often did that happen?
It happens more than you want to remember.
Yeah.
There was one time though that I did block a guy quite well.
Okay.
And he was a little DB, right? See, I'm not stupid. You pick on the small guy. And DBs, they're like, they don't want to tackle you. They don't want to hit. And Artrell Hawkins, who was a DB for Cincinnati, and I was when I was in Detroit, and we ran a reverse, and I blocked him all the way out of bounds.
It was like the blind side.
There was nothing he could do. And my first day in Cincinnati, he's like, I hate you. He never forgot that. And he said, I
just embarrassed.
I was unmercifully harassed in our team film room.
Yeah.
From that play. I drove him 10 yards out of bounds.
Yeah, I bet you had the biggest smile on your face.
Totally.
At the end of
that. I was laughing. And he was kind of laughing too, but he wasn't.
No, well, laughing in the moment, but then when he gets embarrassed in the film session, he's not laughing anymore, right?
Yeah. That's the brutal thing about sports, is the eye in the sky never lies. And it's a painful yet it's an actually thing you learn to really appreciate and look forward to, because that's how you get better.
Yeah.
Like when you can actually watch it and study it and see it, and it tells you everything, and you can't hide from it. And so it's emotionless. It's like just strictly by the law, and the film tells you exactly what happens. Well, the film told, I guess, the Pittsburgh Steelers to bench Justin Fields. And Justin apparently had a good perspective, I guess, on being benched by the Steelers last year. He was 4-2. I mean, he wasn't playing great. Let's not kid ourselves like he was lighting the world on fire. And, of course, they put more of their money or their expectation into Russell Wilson. Guy's won the Super Bowl, been to a couple, and been a pretty good player at some point in his career. So he was going to be the guy. Justin was let's just say Justin didn't do what Tom Brady did. And so he got benched. And he said, I really learned from benching. I'm not really sure. I've been benched before, James. And it sucks. And the reason it does is because you want to be out on the field. You want to be a part of the solution. You want to be out there with your teammates, and you want to really contribute to things. And I appreciate the positive perspective on this, but most people, when they get benched, they are not happy. Like you're not happy, and unfortunately, with quarterbacks, benchings usually happen during a game, which I think is a cheap shot. I really think it's a massive cheap shot because, let's say your team's losing, and you're the quarterback and you're playing great, and let's say the middle linebacker's just stinking it up. I don't recall a team going, yeah, get him out of there. I don't recall a team going, yeah, get our defensive line out of there. Or maybe from time to time, maybe a cornerback, but the only guy who really gets pulled in a game is a quarterback. Get him out of there. We need a substitution. He doesn't have it today, whatever. And I found as a quarterback that it's so much easier to work through a rough start. And I think you learn so much more as a player by actually being out on the field and working through it.
And finishing
it out. Yes. Yeah. And you may not win, but you find a way to come back. Because a lot of times I feel like it's a coach going, man, I don't know what, we coach him up. We get these guys ready to play, and he's out. He's gone. And I think it's the coach saying, not me. Like, I'm a great coach. It's them. We got to have better players. And I'm always like, well, coach them better than if, that's your job to do.
Should the GM pull the head coach in the middle of the game?
Right.
Sometimes
you're out. Go to the log. We're going to have an assistant finish the game. Yeah. Because you've been terrible today. Like, you're making horrible decisions.
Didn't have it today.
Now, in fact, I remember 1994, Philadelphia Eagles playing the San Francisco 49ers, and they're killing them. And it's out in San Francisco. And that very rarely happened during that time. And George Seifert benches Steve Young. Now imagine the San Francisco 49ers quarterback in that era being benched. Like, that never happened. That never happened. And Seifert, and was a defensive-minded coach, whatever. And Steve Young was hot. Oh, he was hot. Now I had an experience, and we were playing New York Giants, and Wayne Fonts benches me in the middle of a drive. He pulls me in the middle of a game. And I'm like, in the drive. And I'm like, okay, it's one thing to next series or whatever. And he pulls me out of the game. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we're losing the game, but it's not a blowout, and I'm not playing poorly. And he said later, so I threw a pass, someone hit my arm, and the pass just kind of floated out there. And so that's why he benched me, because he just thought I wasn't throwing the ball very well.
Like, I got hit, coach.
And I didn't know it at the time, but I was furious for so many reasons. Like, don't take me out of the game, and don't take me out of the game in the middle of a drive. Like, have some class and decency. And to me, that just said, you have no respect for me. I'm not really your guy, and you're looking for every opportunity to get me out of here. And and so I was furious about it. The guy that replaced me goes in. He starts to drive down the field, and guess what happens? He gets injured. And Coach Fonts looks at me on the bench and says, will you go in? And I said, no. You don't want me out there on the field. You've made your bed. Lie in it. And he's like, could you just please go in the game? And, of course, I go in the game. So here's what happens. When I get taken out of the game, the fans cheer. So they're cheering that I'm leaving. Now I'm going back in the game 2 or 3 plays, and they're booing, and I'm like, okay, all right, we're gonna play this game. So I make a really nice completion. We get a first down, and I'm like, I'm gonna run through a brick wall. I don't know which one it is, but I'm running through it today. Like, it just fired me up beyond any expectation. And then guess what happens? He puts the other guy back in the game.
Oh man, so he's not hurt badly enough.
I guess not.
Finish the game. Oh man.
And so guess what? They cheer again, and I'm just like has to be the most humiliating thing.
So you got taken out twice.
I got taken out twice in like the same drive.
Oh my god!
And it was just horrendous, and it was just a BS move, a classless move, and I'm just like that's not how you take care of or you treat your supposed starting quarterback.
I wonder if starting pitchers feel a similar way to how you've just described. Hey, no one else gets taken out. Why do I have to be taken out? Like my defense has committed 8 errors.
Right.
Like you don't take them out to get better fielders.
We surrender. Hey, we give up. We're not playing very good today, so we're out. We're just going to quit. And I hate that. And the quarterback position is one that you have to treat differently. And I don't think it's very wise to just start yanking guys out of games. It's just not a good look, not a good decision, there's nothing good about any of it ever at any time. So, well, we're going to poll, I guess we're going to bench you now. At least the fans for just a minute. We'll take a break. Our show today and every day is brought to you by Les Schwab Tires. Les Schwab has the tires, wheels, and accessories for whatever you drive. For whatever you drive, stop by your local Les Schwab today, and their professionals will get the job done right the first time.
Whatever car you have. They've got everything you need.
For whatever you drive. Got it. All right. This is Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700-921 FM. Bill Riley's right around the corner. All right, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Sean is on assignment. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in. And one thing that I'm super excited about is our next guest, Mr. Bill Riley. Of course, he's the director of broadcasting at the University of Utah and the voice of the Utes, and my good friend. Bill, how you doing?
I'm good, Scott. How are you?
I'm having fun. I've been guest hosting for Sean here the last couple of days. Always fun to talk about sports because it's always going on. There's always something that's just fascinating and interesting and compelling. There's a lot I want to ask you about. But I'm curious a little bit first about Alex Jensen. Of course, he's filling out his staff. He has Eric Daniels, and now he's brought on Martin Schiller as assistants in the last couple of days. And Martin is a renowned international head coach, most recently of the German League Championship team and the German U20 national team. He also coached the Salt Lake Stars in the G League from 2017 to 2020. Tell me what you know about these two hires, and how good is this? What is your take on the direction of this?
Well, I mean, Eric Daniels, people know. I mean, he's coaching this state. His dad is Donnie Daniels. I mean, people have known Eric since he was a kid because Donnie was on staff and Donnie coached Alex. But Eric's his own man. He was at UVU. He's been at Utah State. He was at Weber State. He is a young and up-and-coming coach who's got a very bright future. Knows the state, knows the region, and is a really good coach and a really good recruiter like his father, Donnie, was. So I don't think Eric is a real mystery to people around here. Martin Schiller might be a little bit more, but if you go back to Alex's introductory press conference and some of the interviews he's done, me, OC, some of the other stuff, Alex has been very pointed in saying, hey, Europe is going to be a place that we have to go, and it is going to open. Not that there aren't European players now in college basketball, right, but it's going to be opening much wider open now because there's money attached and money involved. And so I think adding a guy with real European ties is a really smart and wise move by Alex and his coaching staff, because now you've got a guy that has coached in Europe, in the German league and beyond, at a very high level, and he's very well connected over there. Alex is, too, to be fair, because he coached over there a little bit, too. But
right.
He knows the state side because he coached here with the Stars, and that's where he and Alex are connected, but also knows the international side of it, too. So I think these are two really good hires. Eric Daniels is an up-and-coming guy who knows this state very well. You've got Rafael Chilius, who knows the country very well. And now you've added a guy with some international ties, too. So I think both of them are really good hires for the University of Utah and Alex Jensen.
Speaking of Alex and where he is right now, the Mavericks have lost their way into at least a play-in with basketball, so that extends his stay there. With these hires, and he's, of course, been recruiting some of his existing team, and he's got into the portal and made a bit of a splash there. It appears that, it's not hindering him in the process, but there's got to be some disadvantage to him not being able to be with the team at this point.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's not able to give 100% effort to it. Make no mistake about it. He's still working, I would say probably a majority of the time on the Utah. I don't know. I haven't asked him how he's divvying up his time, but he's still got responsibilities for the Mavericks. And even Alex has acknowledged this is not an ideal situation, but he felt it was something he had to do to finish that job out and finish that the right way. I think a lot of us here were rooting for the Mavericks not to make the playoffs. I mean, it's only going to be – I don't think that they'll advance beyond the play-in games, but still it's a couple of more days. But don't think that he's not committing a lot of time and focus to this job. But, yeah, I mean, when you're splitting your time, you're still not giving 100% to it. So it's not ideal, but he's going to be in – I would guess within the next week – he's probably here on the ground in Salt Lake City full time.
There's something that happened in college football that it was at Tennessee, and it's a little shocking. I want to get your take on it. What it meant there, what it possibly could mean down the road. But Nico Maliava, the quarterback at Tennessee, is sitting out spring practice, allegedly, to get a better NIL deal. Is that just an outlier, or are we going to see more of this in college football? Could we see it here locally? What are your thoughts?
Scott, how naive are you? Do you think this hasn't happened already? I think this because he is.
I must be naive, Bill.
I think you're being naive if you think this hasn't happened. And these kids in the portal, I know of many occasions, not here at Utah, but other places. I've talked to people where guys have agreed to NIL deals and then come back and ask for more because they've gotten offers for more after they made agreements. So I think that this is just making news. I don't think he's held out spring practice. I think the story I read said he missed one practice or a practice. But yeah, I think he is doing what pro athletes do, and that's hold out for a better deal. I mean, we know that this is not quite the NFL or the NBA, but it's trending that direction. So this doesn't surprise me at all, especially with a kid like Nico Iamaleava, because he was so high profile in his recruitment. The fact that they're mentioning $4 million now, I thought he was an $8 million quarterback. That was the number that they mentioned when he came out of high school.
I think it would be a little harder to use that leverage simply because you can go, there's a lot of time you can go to the transfer portal and get guys, and there's a big pool of guys. So, I mean, I could see where you could kind of hold a team hostage. Certainly, maybe as you got into fall camp or whatever.
But he's an elite quarterback. I mean, he's not just a guy. He's a really good quarterback. And there's nothing that keeps him again, they're not contracted yet. Maybe we'll get to that at some point in time. But it's April. He could leave at the end of this year and join somebody this summer. You don't think there's a program out there that would take Nico and pay him $4 or $5 million, and he could have all summer long to assimilate into their offense? I think that this is actually a bigger problem than what happens in the NFL, because in the NFL, if you're under contract, you can hold out, but you can't go someplace else. If the Detroit Lions have you under contract and you're holding out for a better deal, you can't go decide to play for the Bears or the Chiefs or the Raiders. You just have to sit out and not get paid. Nico could leave Tennessee and go someplace else. That's, this is, I hate to say it, but this might be the next iteration of what we see in this crazy landscape we're in.
Well, and it might be these types of things that really precipitate the change, and get the people who have all the power to say, we can't run the risk of this happening. We've got to have better control over this. We've got to have a better system. And I've always been of the opinion that they need to establish a governing body over professional sports and college athletics, and it's got to be different than the NCAA. And how that happens, I don't know, but certainly that's what it should go to, and I'm sure will at some point when Georgia or Alabama gets screwed over in a situation like this, or maybe in Ohio State, then it will happen.
Well, Tennessee may not quite be on that level, but they're big boys too. Oh. But you're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. The NCAA has trouble governing in general, but this is just, I don't know what the right answer is in the current landscape where we are right now. Right.
Yep. Yeah, it's fascinating to me, and I'm sure there's just more craziness that's going to happen. I mean, the other thing that the other things that are crazy are when these transfer portals open up, that they're in the middle of March Madness, that they're kind of at the end of spring foot. It just doesn't. None of it makes sense as to when they're open or when they're closed, and it just seems that's another thing. It feels like to me is going to drive change and get a better control of stuff.
Think about that. We saw it during football, Scott, but think about last weekend. Bruce Pearl, he basically said, hey, recruits and portal guys out there, we'd love to talk to you, but we're focused on trying to win a national championship first.
Right.
But that I mean, it's insane that and then it's not only that, but how many of the guys on your own roster are going to hit the portal too, even though you just played in a Final Four? it's I don't know what the right answer is, but I know that what's happening right now with the timing for football and basketball specifically is terrible, especially terrible for the teams that are still involved.
Yeah. And then you have schools like Texas Tech, and I'm sure they're not alone in this, and they just go, hey, we're going to go all in on the transfer portal. We're gonna just pump as much money as we possibly can. And they talk about their whole strategy on how they were way before the portal ever opened, eyeballing players, evaluating players, setting themselves up that the minute it opened that they just took a big swing and they hit on a lot of guys. And so you can tell that there are teams out there that are hungry and are going to take as maximum advantage of this. And I'm sure the Texas Techs of the world, it's not an outlier. I mean, you think of some of these other schools like an SMU that have a lot of money and they if we have the ability to buy relevance, to buy, a shot at a national championship, there's crazy people that are going to do it. And it's, I don't see it, slowing down or stopping at any time in the future unless something really changes.
Well, Scott, I mean, that's everybody's hiring general managers now.
Yep.
Well, that's the general manager. The general manager's job is not just to negotiate the deals, but it's to find the talent. And you don't think that these schools that have general managers already in place aren't getting phone calls from, because again, now these kids all have agents.
Yeah. So
these agents aren't lobbing calls to schools that they know have money or facilities or a good team, whatever it might be, or all of the above, and saying, hey, I know my guy's still playing right now, but he's going to hit the portal. I just want to let you know to be prepared. So, it used to be, your dad or your uncle or your AAU coach or whoever that was. Now these guys all have agents. And it's the same thing that we see happen, Scott, in free agency in the NFL. Isn't it amazing how many contracts get done at 12:01 or 10:01 the minute the free agency period opens? Yeah. And I think that we're beginning to see that now when the portal opens too.
They even have a legal designated tampering area, so it's you can actually tamper, and it's okay.
Isn't that contradictory?
1,000%. It's just a joke. Yeah, it's just I like to make fun of it. It's really funny. So oh shoot, I had something about that, but I forgot about it. Well, let's move on to spring football. By the way, the spring game, the Forever 22 game this year is on April 19th, and it's going to be broadcast on the ESPN Plus. That's kind of a new move and something that's different with the Big 12 Conference. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, you and I and Sly are going to be part of that broadcast, and it's the game in the past has been on the Pac-12 network, but now the Big 12, all the schools create their own broadcast. That's really the job that I left ESPN 700 for. Yeah, our Forever 22 Forever spring game a week from tomorrow is going to be on ESPN Plus. Now, we hope the weather's great. We get lots of people out to Rice-Eccles Stadium to watch. But for those that can't watch or those around the country, you'll be able to tune into ESPN Plus and see the spring game, and it's going to be our production. We're putting it on. The University of Utah is creating. This is going to be not that the spring game broadcasts weren't always kind of, a kind of a great look inside the program at school, but really now that we're producing it ourselves, it's going to be great. And we're going to have access to players and coaches and staff during the game. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so we're looking forward to that next week, and it's going to be a blast to be able to do it. And, we're going to have a mixture of obviously the play-by-play, but talking to players and having coaches and people joining us on headsets and joining us in the booth. And it's going to be just a great couple of hours of being able to see the guys on the field, but also getting some good insight into what I think is kind of what's going to be kind of a rebirth or kind of a new, I don't know if new era is the right word because still Kyle Whittingham's program, but with the offense and kind of the influx of new players and a lot of stuff, I think and you and I have both been out to practice, there's a real energy in this spring. Haven't you sensed it too around this spring football team?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, it's been exciting. Another thing about the spring game and the excitement behind it, there's so many coaches now that are worried about opening up their spring games and that they could, be susceptible to their players, being recruited out of the games. And I actually asked Coach Whittingham about that, and he said, "Look," he said, I these are important to me. The spring game is important. There's a lot we learn and a lot we glean from it, and I'm not just going to not do my business because I'm just not going to worry about that kind of thing. So you're going to see a lot of players. They want some answers with some players, and exactly how many of the stars play remains to be seen. But you're going to see a lot of these guys on the offense, and so it's definitely something that people want to tune into.
No, I think so too, because I've had a good chance. I had a nice sit down the other day with Jason Beck, the new offensive coordinator. We did kind of a Q&A for the Crimson Club, and Jason's so great. He's just easy and fun to talk to. And he said, "Hey," he says, "the good news for us is, and for me, Devin knows me and knows the offense, but he hasn't played with the rest of these guys. So he's still getting to know his offensive linemen, still getting to know his receivers and his backs. But he said, we need to know." He goes, "I don't know most of these guys, and I got to see what I have here." And so, some spring games, you may not see a lot of guys. I still don't know who's going to play and who's not going to play. They'll hold some guys out. They always do and stuff like that. But I'm going to be really interested to see in a pseudo game situation more than just practice, kind of how this thing looks. We know the defense looks good. We know Morgan Scalley's going to get after these guys, but there's so many kind of moving parts. I think the guys we know, the offensive line, the first offensive line, the first five up front, we know who those guys are. We know Devin Dampier is the guy at quarterback. We know that Wayshawn Parker is going to be your number one running back.
Right.
But I don't know who the receivers are. Who are the top 3 or 4 wide receivers? I don't think Jason Beck knows who those guys are quite yet. I think he's getting an idea. Who's the number 2 back behind Parker? Who's the number 3 back behind Parker? Who's going to be the go-to guy at tight end? I think all these things are still evolving, and I think we'll kind of get a glimpse inside of some of that stuff next Saturday.
Yeah, and you get a sense that he's trying to figure that out. He's putting a lot of different people in a lot of different situations and, trying to see what their strengths are. Because there's some hybrid guys offensively, like a Landon King or Hunter Andrews or Nate Johnson, who's come back into the program. And they kind of have multifaceted dimensions to them. And you see them being put in different positions and how they fit into things. And that is one of the things I think I really like about Jason Beck, and is that he's like, I'm just going to figure out what I got, and I'm gonna play to that strength, and not so much here's my system and you all fit into it. And I think it's a really healthy and ultimately will be a very productive thing for this team.
Well, that's what he told me, Scott. He said, "Hey, my system is very fluid." He said, "I'm able to adjust my system to what I have." He goes, "It's not hard and fast." And I think that's one of the reasons why Kyle Whittingham hired him and liked that system was because it's adaptable and fluid. And he said you kind of have to be that way today in college football. And in talking to Jason, I kind of got that vibe. And he said, I'm not. He goes, "There's principles of my system, but they're all adaptable." He says. But he goes, I've got to fit my system to the guys I have. It can't be vice versa.
Yeah, and that helps with injuries and a lot of things. So be pretty good. It's always fun to talk to you, Bill. I could probably do it all day long. Well, I couldn't probably. I know I could do it all day long. And so I really appreciate your time, and always good to hear your voice.
I'll talk to you next week. Have a great weekend, Scotty.
All right, same to you. There it is, Bill Riley, Director of Broadcasting at the University of Utah and the voice of the Utes. Always fun to talk to Bill, and always fun to broadcast games with him. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about how much do you really care about the media and their criticism and the fans. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here. Wait a sec. I might have something I have to read here. On ESPN 700. We have our ESPN 792.1 FM Festival of Tees powered by the Utah Golf Association. Each day we're giving away free rounds of golf from the best courses in the state and beyond. Listen to Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell from 10 to 11. That's me, Sean O'Connell Show from 11 to 2. I'm filling in for Sean right now. And The Drive with Spence Checketts from 2 to 6. Spence is on his own today for your chance to win. We're giving away free stuff. You want to stick around to get it. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Alrighty, sports fans, welcome back. It is a fantastic Friday. It's a fun Friday. It's a football Friday. So glad you could join us here. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. So much to talk about. So much that we have talked about. A lot of fun stuff. I love doing this. I really do. I enjoy talking about sports and what's happening in the world of sports. By the way, ESPN 791 FM is pleased to announce Breaking Benjamin is coming to the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater September 27th. We're giving away a pair of tickets every day this week around 1:45 in our topical trivia. So I hope you've been paying attention to what's going on, and we're going to give you free. We're going to give away tickets. We're going to give away rounds of golf. So a lot of fun stuff. So hang with us. We want you to be happy. Apparently, someone texted in they weren't happy with us, James. We were disparaging kickers. We were. It was apparently.
Apparently, it was unreal.
Kicker hate.
The hate was apparently unreal.
Unreal,
Scott.
Boys.
We apologize to kickers everywhere.
I'm not going to apologize. I've been around enough kickers in my life to know they're kind of weird, and it's not hate. And by the way, it's a little tongue in cheek, just so you know. But I was actually asked. The reason I bring it up is because I was asked by Martin Kelly, my producer on the Down and Dirty, which airs here on ESPN 700 from 10 to 11 every weekday. We warmed the audience up for the Sean O'Connell Show and have a good time. He asked me, like, how much do you actually pay attention to fan and media criticism as a player? Like how often do you get into it? And look, okay, if I'm being completely candid, you as a human being can't help but kind of get a little perturbed by criticism. I was just human, and so
you don't know me. How can you say that about me?
Right,
that kind of reaction.
And like you don't understand the circumstances. You know, there's a lot that goes into this, and it's very easy to sit out there with rewind, with fast forward, with pause, with all these things to analyze and look at things when those decisions happen in real time. And you've got to make decisions, and you got to do it in the moment, and you live with it. And so what I learned is that you can't listen to it because it will impact you, it will affect you. But there was one time that I actually did get in an argument with a group of fans. It was four guys in a bathroom after a football game.
Oh man!
And
it was this. Home game, road game?
Well, it was a Thanksgiving Day game in Detroit, and I actually was leaving the locker room. Instead of just going out to where my car was, I got in an elevator and went to the top where my family would watch the games, and I couldn't find them after the game, so I went looking for them. The minute I stepped out of the elevator, there were still a few fans lingering and leaving the stadium, and I go, this might not be a good idea. And I was right, and I walked by. I passed four guys in the corridor, and they recognized me, and they go, Mitchell, you suck.
Oh.
And then I just walked by, and then right as I walked by, I turned to go into the suite where my family should have been, and they weren't there. So I just said, I'm not going to take this from these guys. So I turned around, I chased four guys down the corridor in the Silverdome, and they went into a bathroom. And so I walk in the bathroom.
You're like,
and they had no idea I was behind them.
Yeah.
And so they had gone into the stalls. You know how there's urinals in their stalls?
Yeah.
So when I walked in the opening, there was nobody there. And I thought, I know they came in here, and then
so standing on the toilet so you don't see their legs?
They don't know that I'm chasing after them. So I go, hey, I just make a general announcement to anyone who might be in the bathroom. Does anyone in here have a problem with me? And all of a sudden, this like four guys just kind of kicked the door open from the stalls in like synchronization, almost out of the movies,
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we got a problem with you. So they kind of approach me when they're like, you want to punch me, don't you? And I'm like, I really do. Like, I am really kind of, if I was crazy enough to chase after you, I'm probably crazy enough to hit you.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, go ahead. And out of nowhere. This is a true story. Out of nowhere, because no one was in the bathroom when I walked in, and I was in the entrance, so no one passed me. No one was even, there were hardly anyone in the stadium. There was a janitor who I guess was cleaning, but I didn't see him before, and I don't think he was a real person. And he goes, Scott, you just need to walk away.
Oh.
So I did. I go, you're right. Yeah, I just need to walk away.
You may have been visited by a ghost janitor
I think,
giving you great advice.
Well, yeah, my guardian angel is a janitor.
Or angel janitor.
Yeah, the guardian angel is a janitor.
Janitor at the Silverdome.
So I walked away. So, yeah.
Good for you.
To answer the question is there are times that it gets to you when you get criticism from the media. And look, you put yourself out there. Like I'm not like, I understand that I'm going to get criticism, and I'm okay with it because I love doing it. You know, it's like being on the air here. You know, I'm going to say things that I know people are like going to get offended, just like the kicker comment, which to me is,
hey, maybe our texter is being tongue in cheek too. But
you never know.
We don't know. It's hard to tell over text for sure.
What I try to do in my analysis in the media is not so much be critical of people, but just talk about, here's kind of the right way to do it, and they could do it better in this situation without being overly critical.
You try to be fair when you have to be critical and not make it personal. And sometimes it's hard to not take it personally if you're the person they're talking about. So,
my job in the radio is to have an opinion. Like I'm not here to share with you the scores. You can go on your phone and find all that stuff, or just pass on information. I'm here to say, here's what is happening in the world of sports. Here's my take on it. Here's my opinion. So it's my opinion. So I know that, and quite frankly, I hope everyone doesn't agree with my opinion, because I'd love to have a conversation about it, and I'd love to hear what other people have to say. What we're going to say right now, though, is we're going to go to break. When we come back, we have Ann Ligori, who is a golf analyst for CBS Sports and for the WFAN in New York City. So this will be fun. We're going to talk about golf and a whole bunch of other stuff here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 700-921 FM. Alrighty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Proud to be a part of Utah's ESPN radio network. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean today. So much fun today. It's Fun Friday. It's Fantastic Friday. It's Football Friday. We're going to even say it's Golf Friday. It's just Sports Friday. The Masters, a tradition like none other, is going on right now. And, of course, joining us to talk about that and so much more is Ann Liguori, golf analyst for CBS Sports Radio and WFAN in New York. Ann, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Scott, thanks for having me on. I mean, it's a gorgeous day here in Augusta. I am in the media building, gorgeous building here at Augusta National, and second round action, so you can't beat it.
Let's talk about the action for a little bit. Justin Rose is leading right now. Of course, Bryson DeChambeau is right on his heels. A little bit of surprise with that. And then, of course, it looks like Rory's kind of making a little bit of a move. What's your take so far about where the leaderboard is and who's on it?
Well, Justin Rose is just incredible. This is his 20th Masters. He's 44 years old.
No.
And he's played well here. I mean, in 2015, he was runner-up to Jordan Spieth. In 2017, he was runner-up to Sergio's win there. But he's had a great season. And last year at the Open Championship, he did so well. He was runner-up there. So, I mean, the guy's 44 years young, basically, continues to play steady, would love to kind of close out on a Masters title. He's had the lead here after the first round like 5 different times,
right?
But has not been able to win it. He won the U.S. Open back at Medina. I'll never forget that in 2013. And he was an Olympic gold medalist. I mean, he's played on 6 Ryder Cups. I mean, Justin Rose is so solid and had a great round yesterday, 7 under 65. And then today he just finished up, not as great as yesterday, but still very solid, 1 under par. So he maintained the lead. He's 8 under, as you said, just 1 shot ahead of Bryson DeChambeau. But what impressed me about Justin Rose today, Scott, was that he was just very steady, and he stayed par on a number of holes after a bogeyed 5, and then he birdied 8, birdied 12, bogeyed 14, and just had a gorgeous tee shot on 16 and was able to birdie that. And just played really, I was more impressed with, the fact that he saved a lot of pars and putted so beautifully. But I think right now the story has to be, always is, right? Rory McIlroy. I mean, yeah. Rory was he had that crazy round yesterday. He played so well on the first 9, and then on that back 9, he double bogeyed 15 and then double bogeyed 17. And just, you could see by his body language that, all the air was kind of sucked out of him. And, because he's the guy, I mean, he's trying to complete a career Grand Slam, and he came into this Masters having won 2 events. And even Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, and Tom Watson yesterday, after their honorary tee shots when they were talking to the media, when somebody asked them who they picked, they all picked Rory. In fact, Jack Nicklaus said Rory actually sat down with them maybe about a week ago to pick his brain, and Jack thought this guy, based on Rory's answers, just knew exactly what he was going to do at Augusta National. So today we kind of didn't think much was going to happen.
Right.
He did birdie 2. Then he's playing on the second 9 now, but on 10 he had a gorgeous approach shot to within a foot for birdie. Then on 11, another great approach shot for a birdie. On number 12, he actually overcooked his tee shot, and it looked like it kind of went into the bushes and then bounced back. So he had the luck of the Irish going for him there. And then on 13, he came up with just an incredible eagle, hitting it out of the pine straw. It landed to within a few feet of the cup. It was just a gorgeous, gorgeous shot. And he made the eagle putt. And at that point, he moved to 5 under, 3 shots behind. So, for not really being too accurate off the tee today, he's only hit like 5 fairways. He's been just very exciting to watch on this second 9.
You talk about the legends and all the history, and there's so many great players who actually play and get to play. You saw Freddie Couples kind of make a little bit of noise there at 65. Tiger wasn't even well enough to make it to the Champions Dinner. Where is Tiger's presence? Is it less interesting with him not even being there, probably knowing that he can't contend? How much of a Tiger factor is there to the Masters and this year's Masters?
Well, Tiger, he lost his mother a couple months ago, and then he got injured again, had to have Achilles tendon surgery, so that put him out for God knows how long. But ironically, Chairman Fred Ridley, normally he always has his press conference on Wednesdays. This year, in addition to the Wednesday press conference, they scheduled a press conference on Monday, the first day of Masters Week. And everybody was very curious as to what, the press conference was going to announce. There was a speculation, all kinds of speculation. Nobody had any idea that the chairman was going to announce that Augusta National is partnering with Tiger Woods to construct a learning lab. It's a Tiger Learning Lab. It's TGR Learning Lab, where they're going to offer young people, some 23,000 young people in this area, the opportunity to attend classes, study different science, engineering, mathematics,
STEM technology.
Exactly. And then in addition to that, Tiger and his design team will design this 9-hole short course as part of the municipal course in this area, and they're going to call it the Patch. I mean, it's nicknamed the Patch anyway, but there's going to be a Patch short course. So, Tiger hasn't been here this week at all, but yet Monday he pretty much stole the headlines with that announcement from Augusta National.
Oh, very cool. Speaking of someone else who's up on the leaderboard, you have Bryson DeChambeau. Is there ever going to be peace between the LIV Golf Tour and the PGA Tour?
Interesting you ask. There are 12 LIV players playing in this Masters, and as you say, Bryson DeChambeau is right up there in the thick of things. I don't know if there's going to be reunification. I mean, a lot of people obviously want to see the top players play in tournaments aside from the 4 majors, but right now they're at a standstill. I really don't think the PGA Tour feels that they can gain anything aside from $1.5 billion. But they must, if I had to guess, they must LIV must want too much for their investment, and the PGA Tour feels that they're in a really good place right now. So they did all kinds of things, improved the prize money dramatically since LIV came into existence to keep PGA Tour players from bolting to LIV. So they must think they're in really great shape, PGA Tour, because they're not really. I don't know. They don't really talk about the negotiations in public, and the commissioner of the PGA Tour always says that they won't negotiate in public, Jay Monahan. So we don't really know what the pros and cons are inside those meetings, but I just get the sense that it's not going to happen, that maybe some of these LIV players will wait until their LIV contracts are up and perhaps try to get back into the PGA Tour, if the PGA Tour welcomes them. And I think maybe if the PGA Tour does anything, that may just be something that they'll try to figure out, how they would welcome some of the LIV players who want to come back, who want to return to the PGA Tour, because it's, you just don't see the guys who went to LIV. Sure, they made a lot of cash, but, you just don't see them that much. So we have no idea how they're playing.
Yeah. And I want to see them. I mean, I'm one of those that wants to see them, and I don't watch the LIV Tour. So I hope they figure something out, something that works for everyone, and hopefully works for golf in general. That just kind of helps the whole thing out. So I have a television monitor here in my studio, and it's on the Masters, and they just continue to interview all these celebrities, whether they're musicians or they're actors or they're athletes who they've got their golf attire on. They have their nice shorts and their golf shirt and their hat, and they're there attending and watching the Masters. What is it about the Masters, and I think golf in general, that just creates such a passion in so many different people, in so many different parts of life? Whether it's celebrities, it just seems that golf is, and I'm one of them. I am passionately in love with golf. Have been since I was, my dad introduced me to it when I was a kid, and I'm just curious why so many people are passionate about the game of golf.
It's such a challenge. I think a lot of these top athletes, perhaps you can speak to this as well, Scott, they're so challenged by golf. They're so challenged by golf. So yesterday, I went out really early to catch the honorary starters, hit the official tee shots to start the championship. And John Isner was out there. I mean, you remember John Isner from tennis circles,
right.
6'11". It was hard to miss him. And Ken Griffey Jr. was out there, and he has a credential to be inside the ropes. He's a photographer now.
Oh, wow.
And I read where he's just taking pictures and having a great time. I know he's a huge golfer. He plays in a lot of these celebrity tournaments. But I just think it's the ultimate challenge for, not only sports stars, but Hollywood stars who have been so successful in their careers that they're trying something else. And yet, you look at Michael Jordan, you look at Wayne Gretzky, you can't perfect golf. It is the most difficult sport in the world. And I think that challenge keeps these superstar athletes coming back over and over again. You're only as good as your last shot. And, it's just a very challenging, very, very difficult sport. Plus, you're on the most beautiful properties in the world, particularly here at Augusta National. It's just so gorgeous, so beautiful. And it's just a special, if you ever have a chance to play here, it's just such a special invitation. But all over the world, normally golf courses are constructed on the most gorgeous pieces of property, whether you're in Ireland overlooking, the ocean on a gorgeous links course, or in Scotland, or, on the east end of Long Island, or on the, Monterey Peninsula. I mean, just beautiful properties. So it's really become a lifestyle for a lot of people. You can live near golf courses, you can bond with your friends or with your family members, and there's just so many benefits to playing. And I just think people become addicted to golf, right?
Yes, amen to all of that. I played over at the old course, St. Andrews. Played most of the open courses over there, and I birdied the road hole on the old course, and I swear I could have died right there. My life could have ended, and it would have been a really good life. And there were people on the side that were actually clapping, like there was, and I was just playing around a golf there, and. What just a memorable thing, and amen to all of what you said. I mean, I feel this passion. I love the Masters. I love what's going on. This is a Ryder Cup year, and it's at Bethpage Black, and
my neck of the woods,
right,
on Long Island.
Yeah, and with all that's going on in the world, you look at the Four Nations tour or tournament with hockey, and kind of the battling that the United States is having with the rest of the world, with tariffs and the whole political climate. How much do you see that impacting? Is this must see golf, the Ryder Cup this year, and will it have an impact on the Ryder Cup?
Oh, absolutely. I think the Ryder Cup is one of the top international sporting events ever. I've covered a couple Olympics in my day, and I love the Olympics, but there's nothing like getting the top golfers from the United States and Europe playing against each other for history and pride, and particularly at that page where, the New Yorkers are going to be quite loud and passionate about rooting on the American team. So I've covered every Ryder Cup since Brookline, and I have to say it is just so exciting. Last 2 years ago in Italy, at Marco Simone, it takes you to, again, beautiful locations, and the competition is intense, and you play for your country. It's our team, for the first time, with the President's Cup, obviously it's a team competition. There are not that many team competitions in golf. It's such an individual sport. But for the Ryder Cup, it's just, there's so much camaraderie, and you're bonding with the guys that you want to crush in most tournaments, in these individual competitions. So it's just the opportunity for teams to get together and show their pride and really show off their brilliancy at a venue where, the fans they go over the top. They're so excited because the galleries are rooting for, the particular country. So it's really an exciting event, and I can't wait for it to play out at Bethpage Black for sure.
As I'm listening to you and ask you this question, this thought came to my mind. The president has shown up at the Super Bowl. He's shown up at a lot of marquee golf events. Does he show up at the Ryder Cup, and what would that mean?
Well, he possibly could. He's a golf fanatic, and he owns golf courses, and they run golf courses all over the world. He just was at the Live event because it was at the Doral, which he owns in Miami last week. So, I can imagine. He made an appearance. Didn't he make an appearance at the Super Bowl? So, I can imagine that he would make an appearance. He's a huge golf fan. He's played with Tiger Woods numerous occasions, and he, isn't shy about talking about the game and what it means to people and what it means to him. And he's played golf his whole career, his whole life. So I actually interviewed him when he first opened up his course in Palm Beach. And it was kind of interesting. I was writing for USA Today back then, and he cleared out all the foursomes in front of him so we wouldn't have to wait.
Oh my goodness!
And he's not a bad golfer.
Right.
He can talk. He can talk a lot, and while he golfs, it's not like he was focused just on golf and it wasn't conversational. He was very talkative while we were playing, and it was hard for me to play, interview, and golf at the same time. But it was an interesting experience. And then I tell this story a lot. Back in 2015, when he was opening Ferry Point in New York, which is this golf course that he built right under the Whitestone Bridge. He had Barbara and Jack Nicklaus fly in for the opening, and he knew me for years because I covered boxing for many, many years, and Trump used to own all those casinos in Atlantic City, and a lot of the press conferences were in the Plaza, which he also owned in Manhattan. So I would cover those, and so he got to know me. There weren't that many women, covering sports in New York back in the day. And then obviously with my coverage of golf, I got to know him, and so he saw me at this press opening for his Ferry Point golf course, and he orchestrates a picture of both of us. He summons the photographer to take our picture together, and then he leans over and he says, "Annie, tomorrow I am going to announce I am running for the presidency of the United States."
Oh, wow.
And I looked up at him and I said, "What?" It was a shocker to me, I think to everybody else. And sure enough, the very next day, he goes down the escalator at Trump Tower in Manhattan and announces that. So it was an interesting announcement that he felt he had to kind of tell me about the day before.
Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to ask you, since you're at the Masters, do you eat pimento cheese? Do you like it?
I really haven't. I'm not a huge fan of it, although it's such a tradition here. But here in the media room, the egg salad sandwiches are very tasty. Ham and cheese. They have a dining room where you can actually go in if you have more time and sit down and order from a menu. So the food there is very, very good. Yeah. But it's funny because a lot of times I'll go to the dining room early in the week, and then once the championship starts, we're watching the coverage, so it's hard to get away. But there's always something to eat that you enjoy.
I love asking people. I hate pimento cheese sandwiches, and I've had many run-ins with pimento cheese, and none of them have been good. And it's funny, everyone that I've asked this question to, they always say, "Oh, the egg salad sandwiches are really good." It's not. They don't want to say, because you don't want to, wreck the tradition. Look, pimento cheese is horrible. Okay, it's not good. It's not good, people. I don't care what tradition you have. It's not good.
They keep selling them, so somebody must love them.
Oh, it's a Southern thing. I have family. I have kids that live in the South. They love them. Yeah. Anyways, you've authored a book, Life on the Green. Tell me about it.
Yes, I did. Life on the Green, Lessons and Wisdom from Legends of Golf. And the great Jim Nantz, who I saw yesterday at the honorary tea ceremony, he wrote the foreword. It was so gracious of legendary broadcaster Jim Nantz to do the foreword for me. But so the book is, I basically picked 12 legends in golf, 6 men and 6 women. And they talk about life wisdom. They talk about what they learned from their championship golf careers that they use in their day-to-day life. So it's really a book about life. And they obviously throw in a lot of great stories. Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, Padraig Harrington, Bernard Longer, who's playing in his last Masters this week. Who else? Annika Sorenstam, Donnie Pepper. I have 6 men, 6 women, and they just really share great stories about their careers and great life wisdom. In fact, somebody like Padraig Harrington, who I just adore, 3-time major champion, he admitted that not only does he have nerves when he goes to the first tee, but he also has fear. And he said that's very normal to have fear. So he's trying to encourage everybody to embrace fear and nerves and learn from your mistakes. But I thought that was an incredible admission for somebody who's that good to say that he was fearful that maybe his game wouldn't show up at all, or maybe he would shank one off the first tee, that you think that. But there's just so much pressure and expectations on these players that then you can really kind of, once you start thinking about it, you can kind of, understand why they may have that fear, which I just thought was fascinating. So different tidbits like that. I mean, Amy Alcott talks about being the captain of your own ship and trusting yourself. And she didn't come from a country club family or background. She was the only one in her family to play golf. And she was very much an individual and kind of did her, created her own path and her own journey in the game. And she used to sneak on the Riviera Country Club and when she was a kid and play with the guys. And she'd be practicing her putting till all hours. And one day her mother came to pick her up and she was on the practice green and there was this beautiful woman putting next to her, all dressed to the nines. And her mother said, "Amy, do you know who that woman is?" And Amy said, "No, she has complimented me on my putting, but I don't know who she is." And her mother said, "Amy, that's Rita Hayworth."
Oh my goodness.
So
that's awesome.
Great stories like that.
Yeah, very
and
cool.
Great life lessons that everybody shares.
Yeah.
So I think you can order it on Amazon. It's called Life on the Green: Lessons and Wisdom from Legends of Golf. And then there's stories for everybody, whether you're a golfer or not.
It's funny you're talking about this. Billy Casper, Masters champion Billy Casper, was my neighbor for quite a few years here in Utah. And we used to play golf probably the last 5 years of his life that he actually played golf, and we'd play just the two of us. And we would play probably, 3 to 5 times a year on a municipal golf course. And it's a legendary golf course here in Utah called Hobble Creek. And the two of us would just go play golf. And you talk about like life lessons from a legend. And it was just an absolute treat to just have an audience with him, and I just asked him question after question, and it was just fascinating. And
I loved him. I interviewed him years ago. It was such a great interview, and his son Bobby is here.
Yeah,
I see his son Bobby at all the Masters, and I know they do a show as well. And just a lovely family.
Yeah.
Really, Billy was always so very supportive of my career, and always would come on anytime I asked him to do an interview. And just lovely, lovely guy.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Thoroughly enjoyed this. And, you try to enjoy the Masters if you can. I know it'll be tough. Stay away from the pimento cheese, though. Stay away from it. I give you permission. All right. Thank you. And have a great day.
Have fun on the golf course.
You got
Take care. Thanks so much.
All right. There you have it. Ann Liguori, golf analyst for CBS Sports Radio. She's at the Masters. That was a fun interview. That was very cool. Yeah, I talked to the president, and before he was a president, he decided to, run, told me about it. So very cool stuff. The interview with Ann Liguori is your Masters leaderboard update brought to you by UNA Golf. Ping's new G440 driver delivers faster ball speeds, along with Ping's game-changing forgiveness. The G44 irons are designed for more distance and control, if you didn't know that. They're available now at UNA Golf. All right, sounds from spring football around the corner. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700 92.1 FM. That was fun. Hello, sports fans. Welcome back. It's Friday. It's Fun Friday. It's Fantastic Friday. It's Football Friday. It's Friday every day. We're NFL people here. That's how it is. Every day is a Friday. Every meal is a banquet. And some other things I can't say on the air, but that's the world of the NFL. It's a different world. Speaking of a different world, little update here with the Masters. Of course, Rose, I believe, is finished at 8 under. DeChambeau is through 14. He's 7 under. Victor Hovland is 5 under on the day, and he's now at 6 under. And Rory is 6 under today. And so Rory has played himself right back into contention. Of course, we were watching some of the highlights, and he hit out of the pine straw to the par 5 13th, and hits it to about 7 feet and hits an eagle. I mean, he stopped. He started breathing again, but so Rory is roaring back, and of course Scotty Scheffler's 1 under through 4, so Scheffler's got a lot to play. So it's fun to see some of the big names getting up on the leaderboard. We like that. We like it a lot. Let's see here. We got a little spring football going on, and some interesting things are happening with this spring football, and some of them are on the defensive line, because I think this is a really key position for Utah. They need some depth. They need some guys to be explosive. They need some guys that can get some pressure on the quarterback. They're going to play tough, tight man-to-man coverage, and they do that, and they get to the quarterback. They can make a lot of people miserable. So we got a little sound from some practice. Newcomer Lance Holtzclaw, who's a Washington transfer. He's a defensive end. Here's what he had to say.
All right, Lance, how is spring going for you so far?
Man, spring's been good. It's been a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of improvement, a whole lot of learning. Also being able to adapt to like different offenses and different type of situations out here. I came like from a former Pac-12 school, so it was a whole lot of air raid, a whole lot of drop back pass, stuff like that. And then just trying to get used to this new offense and playing in a different type of ball game, playing in the 4-eye, 2-gap and stuff like that. So, but it's been a great experience, and definitely been learning a whole lot and improving my game and expanding.
How do you feel like how do you feel about the culture here at Utah, specifically in that defensive end room?
I feel like in the defense end room, it's just guys really pride themselves off of working and pushing and straining and just getting the next guy better. We thrive a whole lot on energy, and I feel like our group brings a whole lot of energy to practice and to the rest of the team. I feel like it's contagious, and I really love that. I'm a guy that's always hyped up, always hyping up my team, always hyped up with my guys. So that type of culture in the room is great.
What stands out about Morgan Scala's defense for you?
That pressure. He likes sending that heat, So that's always great. We love an aggressive defense, but I love that he also utilizes his guys with different skill sets and puts them in different positions that he knows that they can succeed out of. He studies a lot of formations. He studies a lot of our team our offense that we're playing, and sets up plays and sets up situations for beating our offense and beating the guys that we're going to be playing.
As you wrap up spring in the next couple of days and you transition into summer, what is one goal you have for yourself?
One goal I have for myself is just to improve in my film study. Being able to study another team and really seeing a lot of things, seeing more formational stuff and recognizing a whole lot of stuff. So when I come out here, the game just moves a whole lot faster for me. I don't have to sit here and guess and look around because, we see the calls, it comes in fast, and you got to know what you're doing already. So I feel like really studying and having that in the back of your mind when you see things, you recognize it. I think that's going to help me out a lot.
What is your initial thoughts on the guys on the inside of the line, defensive tackles?
The guys on the inside are just kind of the same culture as the guys that are on the outsides as far as like that energy and really priding themselves off of the work. I feel like those guys just bring a whole lot of energy, and it's a pretty tight-knit group, guys that have been with each other for a little bit or even played with each other before they've gotten here. So I feel like just kind of having that and having that close-knitness and kind of having guys that just thrive off of each other's energy and everything like that is great to have around the room. And anybody that joins that is going to be the same way.
how's it like competing against those offensive tackles, Spencer Fano and Caleb Bowman?
And it's great work. It reminds me of just kind of like how I was previously before I got here. My freshman and my redshirt freshman year at Washington, I played against Troy Fautanu and Roger Rosengarten, who are both starting tackles in the NFL now. So just playing against guys that are of similar caliber of the same guys, it's great work at practice, man. And just like I was saying earlier about like adjusting to different offenses and how different guys run, it's the same way. I'm not saying here working drop back pass on these guys, but more working in the run game, shedding off of blocks, being able to see a lot of different disguises and stuff like that. So those guys are great. You think you got somebody beat, and guys, them boys will humble you a little bit. But it's always great competition out there, man. There's guys beating each other, and we over here improving every day we come out here.
What's the toughest thing about facing Devin Dampier?
He's crafty. He knows how to attack guys when they're coming at him. He can see the defense through seeing his routes. He's looking downfield. He also sees the pressure coming and where it's coming from. He knows how to set guys up while he's on the run and will still get the ball off on the run. He extends plays great. So that's probably definitely a difficult challenge, but something that'll definitely have us prepared for the season.
All right, there you have it. Lance Holtzclaw. Of course, he's a transfer from the University of Washington, so he's had a lot of experience in Power 5, the Pac-12 conference, and in a good school.
You're in the Big Ten too, right?
Yeah. That's correct.
Washington, as weird as that is.
I'm sorry.
No, you're all good.
Yes. He's also in the Big Ten.
You're all good because I just bring that up because it's still weird to say Washington Big Ten school, but that's the world we're in.
Yeah, and Utah's done a pretty good job of transfers, especially on defense. They found some really good gems. Gabe Reed was a great what turned out to be a great player for Utah in the transfer portal, and some of the Mo Diabate and some of these other.
Mo Diabate ended up having a fantastic year for Utah.
And unfortunately, some of the cornerbacks who looked like they were going to be pretty good. Calhoun actually ended up going to, I think, was it Alabama?
Yeah, Calhoun wound up at Alabama.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. But it looks like they've got some guys defensively in the secondary. But the defensive line, I'm telling you, that's going to be a key to me. And it's been a huge key to me all offseason. I felt like that was the position that you can really make an impact if you can get an edge rusher who can be disruptive, because it really, with the way they play in the secondary, and they play man coverage so much better than anything else, and it makes quarterbacks have to hold the ball a little bit longer and for the receivers to get open, and that little extra time can get, if you got an end that can get there, we'll see. Now, the guy who I think might be that guy is Logan Fano. Here's what Logan had to say.
Obviously, yesterday Kyle said that he's really confident in the defensive end. It feels like he has 6 guys. What have you seen from them throughout camp?
Just the same thing. I mean, obviously, I think we have the best offensive line in the country, especially the tackles. I know one of them is my brother, so I love my brother, and I mean, he's a fantastic football player. Same with Caleb Bowman. So I think a lot of that goes towards how we prepared and trying to go against those two every single day, because we know we're not going to see anybody better than those two when the season comes. For sure.
Let's talk about that Fano violence. How is it going against your brother every day? I
mean, it's just like we're kids again. You know what I mean? Like Dad just throwing us out in the yard, and all right, you two just have at it, right? So. I mean, for me, it's still surreal sometimes to be out here and playing college football. And I mean, I look across here, and a lot of people see my little brother, All-American tackle, but I still see little Spence. So, I mean, it's been cool for sure. It's something I'll never forget.
So, is there extra smack talk when one of you gets one over on the other?
Oh yeah, for sure. We definitely keep score, keep track of who's winning in the one-on-ones and teams. So, yeah.
Who is winning? I mean, what does that score look like right now?
I think Big Bro's up right now, but well, no, Spence been giving me work a couple practices. I can't lie. So, yeah.
How do you feel like the defensive tackles have been developing this spring?
Man, it's been so fun to see. It's been so fun to see. 'Cause I know I came in as a freshman, but a freshman that was on a mission, right? So I was a little bit older coming into college. These guys are straight out of high school, and they're getting thrown into the fire, and they've been playing so well. So, I mean, I could go on and on about how good our freshman tackles have been, and then you got guys like Leaky, Dallas, and then Jonah Leah, who a lot of people are going to find out about this year. So, yeah.
As spring has gone on, how much more, I don't want to say acclimated to this new Utah offense have you guys gotten, or what are your initial thoughts about it?
They are really fun to play against, and then sometimes they're really not fun to play against too. I mean, Devin's an awesome quarterback, and I don't know if you guys have been to some practices and been able to see him throw it around. It's so fun watching him go. Running backs, I mean, we've always had talented receivers, and like I said earlier, I think we have the best O-line in the country, so I mean, it's going to be fun to watch.
A lot of programs across the country have canceled spring games. Obviously, Utah's one of those that's kept it around. Just from your perspective, what benefits do you see from still having that game as a player?
Well, I'm actually a competitive edge. I mean, if other teams aren't going to have it, I mean, why not get us one more practice ahead of everybody else? So I mean, if you want to win a championship, you got to do abnormal things, right? So yeah.
A lot of up-and-coming guys in the defensive end room. How have you changed your approach this year as a leader and as the most seasoned guy in the room?
Honestly, whenever people ask me that, I think back to the DNs that were in the room with me when I was young, right? Jonah Ellis, Connor O'Toole, Van Fillinger, and really how they brought me in and really treated me like another brother and were patient with me when I was learning the plays, when I made mistakes. Taking the time to watch film with me, all that little stuff, it adds up. And so I think just following the example of those three guys has been what I've been trying to do. So
last spring, you were obviously coming off an ACL tear. Just now that you've had a full fall under your belt, you're fully healthy. Has that changed, I guess, anything for you in terms of confidence, your play, and so forth?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like last season I played at maybe like 70%, and I mean I was trying to come back and I was trying to help the team because I mean I love playing football, right? So I think I may have hurt myself a little bit. I mean, I don't think I played as well as I should have played. And so this is my first winter, having a full winter where I'm not rehabbing and then trying to come back at the same time. So I think my body feels good. I'm putting on weight the right way, and I'm as confident as ever right now.
As this spring gets ready to wrap up and you transition into summer, what is one goal you have for yourself?
Just continue to lead. I think the teams that separate themselves from everybody else are the ones that have that camaraderie off the field. And so I think something I want to do, and I know the rest of the guys want to do, is just do more stuff off the field. We spend so much time on the field. I mean, it's nice to go bowling every once in a while, go fishing with the guys every now and then. So that's something I want to do, is just bring more camaraderie to the team, and it's there right now. So.
All right, there you have it. Logan Fano, who's one of the leaders of this team, and he will be very pivotal in what's going to happen. Interesting comment, and something to watch for is that he is healthy, because before he was injured, he was making some noise. Could be a huge factor. Both those defensive ends and the other guys could be huge factors for this team this year. So that should be something we should be excited about. All right, ESPN 792.1 FM, Festival of Trees, powered by the Utah Golf Association. Each day, we're giving away free rounds of golf from the best courses in the state and beyond. Listen to the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell from 10 to 11. That's me. The Sean O'Connell Show from 11 to 2, and The Drive with Spence Checketts from 2 to 6 for your chance to win. Tanking a race update around the corner. 2 games left, so this is huge for us. We'll get an update here from James when we return. This is ESPN 792.1 FM. It's the Sean O'Connell Show. Welcome back, sports fan. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792 on FM. I'm Scott Mitchell filling in for Sean. It's Friday, fun Friday, fantastic Friday. It's football Friday. Right now, it's basketball Friday. 2 games left in the NBA season for our Utah Jazz. They're on an epic quest for ineptitude to become a champion. And they're neck and neck with the Washington Wizards right now.
Epic quest for ineptitude.
Yep, epic quest for
That's
ineptitude.
new name of the segment. Tank race update, old news, epic quest for ineptitude. Maybe next year.
Love it.
Hopefully not next year.
Hopefully not. But hey, if we have to, we have to. It is what it is. What do you got for us, James? Talk to us here. It looks like the T-Wolves are they handled the Grizzlies.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
They look like they want to win.
They were awesome. Anthony Edwards, another 40-point game. So, yeah, they did beat the Grizzlies handily. Pelicans lost to the Bucks last night. That's what happened last night. Tonight, Jazz versus Thunder, 7:30 tip on K-Jazz. It's the home finale. And this has been a rough year on a lot of people. Not on you and I, Scott, because we know the deal here.
Right.
The losses need to happen. But there's a lot of people that just want to see their favorite team win, and it's not been the year for them, right? But even with all of that, if you have not been to a Jazz game this year, they've still been a lot of fun. A lot of the games have been competitive. They've just ended up in losses, right? Not sure that's going to happen tonight against the best team in the West, although Thunder might be resting a bunch of people because they've clinched things. So if you haven't been to Delta Center this year for a Jazz game, tickets are obviously really affordable. This team deserves your support in their home finale because it's been rough on the players and coaches too, Scott. Maybe even more than the fans because they don't like to lose. But that's what the directed they've been getting. So anyway, if you have a chance, come on out to the home finale. If you can't, it's on K-Jazz tonight as well as the Oklahoma City Thunder are in town. Wizards are at the Bulls. Hornets are at the Celtics. Pelicans hosting the Bucks. T-Wolves hosting the Nets, and then some bonus games that factor into the secondary tank. Nuggets hosting the Grizzlies. Both those teams are playoff teams who just fired their coaches too, so that's got some interest there from that angle. Warriors at the Blazers, Clippers at the Kings, and then all the teams are off tomorrow, Scott.
Oh, so
they set it up so that everyone plays on the final day of the regular season on Sunday.
Okay.
And almost all of them play at the same time, so they can't be like sitting out because, they lost during the day, so we don't have to play our guys kind of thing if they haven't clinched what they want to clinch yet. So, everyone's off tomorrow. So then on Sunday, Jazz are at the T-Wolves for the season finale. That's at 1:30 on K-Jazz. Wizards are at the Heat. Hornets are at the Celtics. And the other games that factor into the secondary tank, Nuggets at Rockets, Grizzlies hosting the Mavs, Warriors hosting the Clippers. So a lot of intrigue for who's going to make the play-in, who's going to not make the play-in in the West, or who's going to avoid the play-in in the West, I should say. A lot of those games. And then, of course, it's going to come down to probably the last game, whether or not the Jazz or Wizards have the worst record in the league. Standings, Jazz 17-63. They have clinched a bottom 2 record, Scott.
Oh, so they moved up a little bit.
Yeah, so the Hornets have no chance at catching the Jazz, but because they beat the Jazz twice. Even though, so the Jazz could end up, if they win their next 2 games, they could have and the Hornets lose their next 2 games, they could have identical records, but the Jazz would be ahead of them. Ahead with air quotes in the tank race. So that means they will have best lottery odds, as I've said before. But what now this is about, it's about making sure they can't fall any lower than 5th, right? 6th is the lowest they can fall, though, which anyway, lose 1 spot here or there, not the worst thing in the world. But you want to be as high as you can, obviously. Wizards 17-63, the only other team that could have a worse record than the Jazz. And it may come down to that drawing. We're going to ask Sarah if that's true and that if there's not another tiebreaker scenario that we should be on the lookout for in the next segment. Sarah Todd of the Deseret News. And then 3rd is the Hornets, 19-61. They're 2 games back. They might be able to get to the 2nd spot, but they cannot get ahead of the Jazz. Pelicans are fourth. They're 2 games back of the Hornets for third. They split their games in the regular season this season so far, Scott. So the Pelicans still have a shot to get to the bottom 3 and the best odds at the number 1 overall pick, but they have no shot at getting any lower than that. T-Wolves tied for 6th with the Warriors and Grizzlies. That factors into the secondary tank. Jazz, of course, have their first-round pick this year. They're 1 game back of the Clippers and Nuggets for 4th. 2 days left in the regular season, or 3 days left, I guess, but it's technically, but no games on Saturday. So 2 days of games left in the regular season. Every team has just 2 games left. We're coming down to the wire here in the tank race.
Love it. All right. I'm feeling good about the Jazz and their chances, and I just want the worst record because you want to win something.
Yeah,
be best at being bad.
Absolutely.
That's all I want.
And real quick, do got to tell you, Breaking Benjamin is coming to Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. ESPN 792.1 FM is pleased to announce that it's September 27th. We're going to give away a pair of tickets for the last time this week in Topical Trivia a little bit later.
Hey, I'll be around for it. Looking forward to it. All right. Thank you for that, James. All right. Around the corner, we're going to talk to Sarah Todd from the Deseret News, talk to her about the Jazz and all kinds of things related to the NBA. When we return here on the Sean O'Connell Show on ESPN 792.1 FM. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. I'm not Sean O'Connell. I'm Scott Mitchell. I'm filling in for Sean today. So happy that you could join us. Happy that it's Friday. It's a fun Friday. It's a fantastic Friday. It's a football Friday. It's also a golf Friday and a basketball Friday and many other things. Regardless, it's a fun day. So we're having fun on the show today. If you can't listen to us on the radio, you can stream us, listen live on ESPN700sports.com, the ESPN 700 app, or you can talk to your smart speaker and tell it to play ESPN 700. We're on YouTube at ESPN 700 Sports Utah, and of course on the old podcast at ESPN700sports.com, ESPN 700 app. You just search for the Sean O'Connell Show wherever you get your great podcasts. All right, speaking of a fun Friday, we have none other than Sarah Todd from the Deseret News. She's a jazz writer there. She joins us on the program on this fabulous Friday afternoon. Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing great. I loved the song that came on the intro. I've got a fun fact for that song if you want it.
Please do tell.
The Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi was #1 on the Billboard chart on March 2nd, 1987.
Okay.
My birthday.
Oh, wonderful. Happy birthday on March 2nd. That's fabulous.
Thank you.
Isn't it funny, those little weird things that just remind us of events in our life? It's crazy. And it's usually music, right? It reminds us of so much.
Yeah, and our own mortality.
True. Very true. So the Jazz are in the middle of this tank thing, and it's just weird. We're having a lot of fun with, that they're so bad that it's going to be a good thing. It looks like they're probably going to have the same record as the Washington Wizards. What does it mean in the event of a tiebreaker? How do they decide the actual standings at that point?
Right. A lot of people think that it could be or would be similar to what playoff positioning is dealt with, and how, head-to-head record or conference record or divisional record or any of that. None of that matters when you're talking about the lottery positioning for worst record. If two teams tie for the worst record, it is a coin flip. They just draw a name out of a hat. Yep.
Now, didn't that happen like in 1979 didn't like the Lakers get Magic Johnson on a coin flip? Am I remembering this right, or is that just a bad dream?
No, that is correct. That is how a lot of decisions used to happen. Even when, like, before the lottery was instituted, even bigger decisions were decided, like who was going to get the #1 pick, and it wasn't just based on like record, and so many things have changed over the years. And then obviously you institute the lottery, and the lottery odds have been changed multiple times to try and keep teams from tanking, and they've flattened the odds. But the interesting thing is that, it used to be 25% chance at getting the #1 overall pick previous to 2019. And the thought was, well, if we don't give teams that big of a chance, then they won't want the worst record as bad. So they lowered it to 14% for the bottom 3 teams. But then you just end up with more teams thinking, well, then we have all got a chance if we can get down to the bottom. So they have not quite figured out how to keep teams from tanking yet. But yeah, you're right. It is a coin flip if the Wizards and the Jazz tie.
Is this like a magic coin? Is there any chance of, like, do they weight it on one side over the other? And it's like an unfair advantage, or is this coin held in a vault and it's free from any type of tampering or shenanigans?
Right. I'm sure that because I've been in the lottery room multiple times now, and I'll be there again this year during the actual drawing, and. So they bring in the ping pong balls that are all weighted, and they're brought in a locked suitcase that are brought in by like an outside firm, an accounting firm, and a law firm that come through and check all of the balls before they're then like shown to everybody in the room and then dropped into the lottery machine. And it's all like very much on the up and up and transparent, because they don't want any more accusations ever of anything being rigged. And so I'm sure that the the drawing to figure out who has the worst record is also done in the same fashion. But I mean, if you were thinking like, would the NBA want to rig it for Washington versus Utah? I don't think that the NBA probably has any preference there.
You all are bad, and we don't care. So whoever wins this, it's an honest thing, which is kind of painful to actually hear that. I always get nervous when they say an independent auditing firm, an outside account. Like anybody can cook the books. We've seen this in all the great movies. Like they've had 2 sets of books, and so I don't know. I think I'm not going to get into my conspiracy theories. I just hope that whatever happens, the Jazz on May 12th win. That's all I care about. That's all that matters to me. Go ahead.
I just think just with the lottery scenario, I know that a lot of people have like theories and conspiracies that the NBA doesn't want certain teams to win in the lottery, but I just know from being in that room that there's just no way that they would be able to make the actual lottery drawing go for any certain team. And that being said, I think back to last year when Atlanta won the lottery and they did not want it. So it was that's just a really good example of that sort of thing happening.
Wow. So I don't know if you're going to be in the lottery room this year. Is that correct? Or okay. Yeah. Oh, that would be fun. Do they serve like refreshments, or is it just kind of all business?
Yeah, there's like a light refreshment and / tapa situation. It's nothing fancy at all. And then there's kind of 2 sections of seating. It's kind of in a convention center conference room is what it's in. And there's just a section of seating for all of the team representatives. So there's 1 representative for each lottery team in the room. And then next to that seating area is a seating area where roughly 12 to 18, depending on the year, media members are invited into the room. And then there is a large wall of poster boards that have the 1,000 number combinations listed on them.
Oh my goodness.
And there's a person from the NBA and the accounting firm that then makes sure to double check the number balls that are drawn against the number combinations that they have listed. And everyone in the room, media and team representatives, have a packet of paper that also have the number combinations so that everyone can see that when the numbers are drawn, what we have on the paper matches up with the balls drawn, matches up with what's on the wall.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that's how the sausage is made. It's a weird room because you walk in and, you've got all of these, sometimes former players, sometimes GMs, other front office executives. 1 year, Brian Smith was in there for the Jazz. Last year, Danny Ainge was in the lottery room, his very first time ever being in the lottery drawing room. But like when you first go into the room, everyone has to give up phones, recorders, Apple Watches, anything, and they're all sealed into bags, and you go through a metal detector to get into the room. And so like before you go into the room, there's kind of this feeling of separation between kind of, the important NBA people and then the peons that are the journalists, and then you walk into the room and no one has a phone, no one has anything to distract themselves. And so you're all just kind of milling around waiting.
Everyone's freaking out. What do we do without our phone? We can't even talk. We don't know what to say. That's awesome. Okay, so there's two games left in the season. What can we expect over these last 2 games?
Nothing special. I would expect 2 losses. I'm not sure exactly how hard Oklahoma City is trying to just win out to the very end, but I wouldn't expect for the Jazz to be able to beat them tonight. I don't think that they would want that as one of their last 2 games of the season, because it would just kind of put a bad taste in their mouth going into the postseason that one of the worst teams in the league beat them, no matter who's playing. And then in Minnesota, and Minnesota's still in the thick of a race. They need to win out, and they're hoping for some other teams to lose. So they're going to have all hands on deck, I would expect. And the Jazz, with all of the injuries and everyone that they're sitting out, I just don't think they really stand a chance.
Who do you like in the lottery that's not Cooper Flag?
I like Dylan Harper. I like Trey Johnson out of Texas. And I think right now those are probably like my top three if I had to choose. Ace Bailey is just a little bit too underdeveloped, has some bad habits, and so I don't think that I would have him in my top three. And he just seems kind of immature. I think that a lot of people are looking at that Rutgers team and thinking like, okay, if you have 2 top 3, top 5 potential players, and like, why didn't they make any noise? And I think part of the problem is that both of those players are like very immature, and I don't mean that kind of in a super negative way. It's just that like there are other players on other teams that were a lot more mature in the way that they play, mature in how they've developed so far. And I just don't think the ace is there yet. And kind of with his shot selection and the flaws in his game, I don't think that I would take him top 3. So if I was going top 3, it would be Cooper, Dylan Harper, and Trey Johnson.
And if you're the Jazz, if you got one of those 3 players, would you feel good? Or, I mean, is Cooper Flag just that much better than everyone else?
He's that much better. I mean, it is one overall and everyone else. And I think the biggest thing about Cooper that makes the biggest difference is that he just turned 18 in December.
Right.
And at 18, you can already see how much his body has developed. Like physically, he's got very broad shoulders. He has an incredible NBA frame when you think about how he could put on weight throughout the next 4 to 6 years. And you see how much has developed just since he was 16. And then mentally, watching the way that he plays the game and the way that he processes, like he's already so far and above and beyond his peers. And he, again, just turned 18. And so with that in mind, like he's just so far ahead of everyone else.
Where is Will Hardy right now? Like with all of this going on, it seems like, I don't know, maybe he gets overlooked a little bit. What's he doing? How is he doing as the coach?
Yeah, I think that there are certainly frustrating days for Will Hardy. I mean, I think that it's good for probably the fans to think of Will Hardy as a fan a little bit, right? Like he's also tired of this, right? Like,
right. I would imagine.
He doesn't want this to be the entirety of his coaching career. And like, he is incredibly competitive and really wants to like show his chops and his mettle as a coach. And he hasn't totally been able to do that. I think a huge part of NBA coaching is managing personalities and getting buy-in from players, no matter what the situation is. And we've seen that he's very, very good at that. And the players love him, even though he can be a really hard and tough coach. And I think that that's the impressive part. We've been able to see over the last 3 years that like that part of the coaching equation he's good at, but we haven't really been able to see what he can do with a roster full of players that the team wants to see them win games. And so that, the front office invests to give him the tools. Right now, for the last 3 years, he's mostly been, the front office gives him tools, but then they put one arm behind his back and then start taking some of the tools away whenever they decide they want to. And so that doesn't really make it easy to see kind of the breadth of his coaching knowledge and prowess and what he's capable of. And I think that he really wants to be able to show that.
Some strange things have happened in the NBA, kind of shocking things, I think. Michael Malone and Calvin Booth were both fired by the Nuggets this week, and the Nuggets are kind of in contention. You're always in contention with Jokic. And then you have Taylor Jenkins fired, and Memphis is a team that's in the playoff hunt. And then the Luka trade, like a lot of head-scratching things. What's your sense of this? Is this just like an outlier? And actually, which one do you think is the most bizarre?
I mean, the Luka trade, every single time I think about it, it just seems crazy to me. I just can't believe that happened still. We're months removed from it at this point, and it just absolutely bowled me over. I don't understand how anyone can justify that, no matter how many beers Luka Doncic has drank. It just absolutely is incredible. And the firings, it's just the Wild West out here. You can do anything in the NBA. You can trade whoever you want for whatever terrible package you want to trade them for. You can fire coaches 4 days before the end of the season, even though that you're going to be competing for a title. It's insane. I think that in Memphis's case, I don't think that there's probably anybody that's watching the NBA that thinks that Memphis is going to be able to win a title this year. And so, if you think that Taylor Jenkins' course has run out in Memphis 3 weeks before the end of the season, and you want to get rid of him and start moving on, I guess that I can get behind that. But I think there's a lot of people who probably don't think that Denver is going to win a title this year, but Nikola Jokic remains probably the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
And you don't bet against players like that. And certainly internally, the Nuggets believe that they are in contention for a title. And so I can't imagine really believing that you have a shot at the title and getting rid of the guy that gave your franchise the only title you've ever had 3 days, 4 days before the end of the regular season. That's wild to me. And it was an absolutely open secret in the NBA that Calvin Booth and Michael Malone did not like each other, did not get along. There were a lot of people around the NBA. We've all heard stories about it, and so that was an open secret. But to hear that Michael Malone was fired, and then very quickly, that news came out, and it's like, oh, okay, Calvin finally had enough, but still shocking of the timing. But then to hear that Calvin was fired, it's like, okay, well then what was the actual issue? Like,
right.
who is mad at who, and what was the final straw? And so the timing of it was just insane.
Yeah, because usually someone wins out in those little power struggles, and seems like it was a scorch the earth kind of thing. So right now in the NFL, they're discussing rule changes and some of the items, and one of the big things is the tush push, right? Which is so funny. It's like quarterback sneak is such a big issue in the NFL, and can you push a guy, or not? And it's just kind of captivated a lot of people. Are there any rule changes that are on the horizon for next season in the NBA that are dramatic or things that you like that could be changed and would make sense?
I mean, there's a lot of things that, like the NBA every single year either institutes small rule changes or what they'll say is they'll have meetings with the officials before every season, and that's with front offices, with coaching staffs, players, and the media to discuss the points of emphasis, things that might be on the rule book, but things that really need to actually be emphasized in the coming season. And those are all usually really small, and that's probably what I expect for this coming season. I don't know that I think any huge sweeping changes are going to be happening. And the thing that I'm always kind of harping on about is that I like the FIBA rules about goaltending, and I think that it would make the NBA just so much more exciting if you were able to, poke the ball off the rim and it not be goaltending. I think that when you have to decide on reviews and like you're stopping the game to see if it was a goaltending call and there's back and forth about whether it was, like, if we just took that away, it would make it a lot better. And it's so much more exciting, especially when you watch international basketball. It's just, if you can get up there and grab the ball and prevent it from going on the hoop, then do it and run.
Sarah Todd, thank you so much for your time. It's very interesting. I love your talk about the lottery room and all that stuff. So good stuff. Hope you have a great rest of your Friday and this weekend.
Thanks a lot. It was nice to talk.
You got it. There you have it, Sarah Todd. She covers the Jazz for the Deseret News. We're going to cover a few things here. It's the ESPN 792.1 FM Festival of Tees, powered by the Utah Golf Association. Each day, we're giving away free rounds of golf from the best courses in the state and beyond. Listen to the Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell from 10 to 11, the Sean O'Connell Show from 11 to 2, and the Drive with Spence Checketts from 2 to 6 for your chance to win. It's coming up soon. A little topical trivia right around the corner. We're going to air some grievances with the show's namesake. Sean O'Connell is joining us here when we return on ESPN 792.1 FM. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. It is Friday. It's a fun Friday. It's a fantastic Friday. It's a football Friday. It's also a fighting Friday. Joining us for all the way from Orlando, Florida, hanging out with Mickey Mouse, is none other than the namesake of the show. Sean O'Connell joins us. Sean, welcome to your show. How is Orlando, Florida? That's my old stomping grounds, by the way.
Yeah, it's great. It's nice and warm, but not oppressively humid down here today. We got fights tonight on ESPN Plus and ESPN2, so looking forward to that, and looking forward to getting back tomorrow morning and then rolling back into the Broadway studios on Monday doing the show. So thanks for holding it down.
No, happy to do it. The seat will be warm when you show up, so we'll keep keep the home fires burning for you. The Utah running Utes, Alex Jensen, has signed a couple of coaches, Eric Daniels and Martin Schiller. What do you think about that?
I like the Schiller hire especially because we're talking about a guy who has been entrenched in the spot where I think Utah basketball is going to have to make some serious recruiting inroads if it wants to get back to the glory days. And that's the whole reason that you hired Alex Jensen, was to try to find some connection to those glory days and rebuild this thing. And Schiller has been very, very connected with the professional game and the developmental game in Europe, across the pond. And, obviously Utah's had a lot of success there already. There's a bunch of schools that have found great players in Europe. The best jazz player right now is a guy from Europe. And having a pipeline, having a connection, having connections to all the coaches over there that can help Utah get in early on kids and appeal to kids at the beginning of their recruiting process, I think is going to be very, very important for running Utes basketball. So I especially nothing against Daniels. I'm not trying to gloss over him, but like that hire, the Schiller hire, I think is a genius move. And I think a clear indication that Alex Jensen wants to tap into the European market, where right now you can make an easy claim the best players in the world are coming from Europe.
They are. So there's strategery. That's what we got going with our running Utes with Alex Jensen. I love it. As you heard in the beginning of the segment, it's the airing of grievances. And apparently Sean has something that he would like to air, because I have something as well. So take it away. Please air your grievances.
Okay. I hate to be indelicate on my own family show, but I have a serious grievance to air with crop dusters. You know what I'm talking about. I've been in a lot of public settings. I've been in and out.
The guys in the plains, OC. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, these last couple of weeks, and the person in the plate. You just like a little decorum, please, people. I have incredibly bad luck or something, where I am always walking through the airport and just I'll have my mouth open mid-sentence when I hit that cloud. And I've got a serious grievance to air with folks who think that because there's ambient noise in an airport and you can always get away with it, that just mid-terminal on your walk, that's or jetway or walking down the aisle. I mean, when we landed in Orlando, okay, and that seatbelt sign gets off and everyone hops up out of their seat.
Yeah,
there was somebody they were like containing something. I don't know what it was. It's just completely inappropriate. So grievance to air with the crop dusters of the world.
So you're airing your grievances about air and about putrid air. Yeah. The thing is on an airplane, like, you don't know who did it, right? Because it could be anyone. Yeah. Who knows where it actually came from? You know
what, I think that I can literally sniff people out. No, but I think because immediately I start looking around. I'm not shy about it. As soon as I smell that thing, I start looking around, looking for the culprit. And there's always, the ears getting red. People know when they've been caught. And I think I know who did it last night. And thankfully, she was too old for me to say something to.
You always think it's a male, but watch out for those women. I laugh at this. You have your air marshals, right? On the plane. You need to hire a crop duster enforcer, and someone like Sean O'Connell, who I know who you are. I can sniff him out, and you're not going to get away with this on the airplane.
Scott, they have trained dogs to sniff out literally anything.
Oh, no, I know.
You got bomb-sniffing dogs, drug-sniffing dogs, electronic-sniffing dogs. We need it doesn't have to be a big dog. You can throw a little Yorkie, put a Chihuahua, put a little Pomeranian on that plane that knows where it's coming from and alerts. Okay? And then you get that air marshal to issue a ticket or something. That's what I need to happen.
He's the airplane mascot, and I'll tell you one of the cool things. Speaking of dogs being able to sniff, the cadaver dogs, they'll like people drowned, and they'll take them out on the lakes in boats, and they can smell they can smell where they find a person out on water. It's incredible what they can do. Yeah, it's insane. All right, well, I have a grievance, and certainly not among those, but I got to call out the Masters. Okay, I've had pimento cheese. They make pimento cheese out to be this fabulous, amazing, wonderful tradition and a part of the Masters. Pimento cheese is horrible. It's terrible. Everything about the Masters is great, but pimento cheese is not. It is, and I get it. It's a Southern thing, but I can think of a whole lot of other Southern things that I like. Number one, like grits are great, and you'll never find a better biscuit than you find in the South. In fact, you go to Bojangles and get a breakfast biscuit, it'll change your life. But pimento cheese won't. And I don't know why these people try to pass this off as this amazing food. It is absolutely horrible. And it almost makes me not want to like the Masters, because I love the Masters. But if they could just take away the pimento cheese, please.
Can I tell you, here's what we need to do. I know that the Masters prides itself. It's kind of like the Costco hot dog.
Right.
One of the things they pride themselves on is they keep their concessions prices bare minimum, super low. It's like $1 for those pimento cheese sandwiches, right? If we want to find out how dedicated people really are to that tradition, just raise the price. Just make it the same price as a regular sporting event concession. It's $13 all of a sudden. How many do they sell? People love them because they're cheap, Scott.
Right. Oh,
if you make that thing the same price as a hot dog at an NFL game, no one's touching it again.
Can you imagine the outrage?
That is
because of how big a deal that tradition at the Masters, and how big a deal the Masters is. The public outcry of, wait, you raised the prices
of pimento cheese? Pimento cheese costs as much as egg salad now.
Which, by the way, is so hilarious because everyone at the Masters is loaded. You got to be like.
Oh yeah,
you got to be rich to get to the Masters, and if you raise the price beyond $2 for that pimento cheese sandwich, that would be the straw that breaks the camel's back for all these folks.
I'll never go again.
Thousands of dollars in the hole to go to Augusta.
Yeah, that's a great solution. By the way, it would be fascinating to see what would actually happen. I don't know.
Because if you love something, you're willing to pay for it. If you don't actually love something, it's easy to sacrifice once it's above $5.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what they actually would. Well, everything else is good. Like, because when I actually asked people, we had Ann Ligori on earlier, and she's a writer for CBS Sports and Golf and all that stuff in New York, and I said, and I asked him, I go, have you ever had a pimento cheese sandwich? And she goes, yeah, I really like the egg salad. Everyone said that. They've all said They don't
even
say,
Paul Pugmire said the same
everyone,
thing. Yes,
yeah.
Pimento. I'm not going to say anything about the pimento cheese, but I love the egg salad.
Love the egg salad. Yes, it's really a good thing. So maybe we just get rid of it with egg salad. James, apparently you have a grievance you'd like to air as well. So we're all in on this. It's Friday. We might as well do it.
Yeah, we got to unburden ourselves going into the weekend.
Unburden
Scott.
ourselves?
Yes, unburden yourself, air your grievances.
Are you running for political office here? I'm unburdened by the past and going somewhere in the future.
Absolutely. So OC reminded me of one that has nothing to do with crop dusting, but it does have to do with old people. So did you guys see the video of the grandma who decided to cut across the youth basketball game? Completely not on the baseline. She just walked right across the court, interrupted a fast break layup.
No.
Because she needed to go to the bathroom or leave for whatever reason. I recently had to slam on my brakes because someone around that person's age, maybe a little older, decided just to cross in the middle of traffic on 3rd West a couple weeks ago.
Oh, no.
And we've all heard the jokes about once you're over 80, you don't care, just back up. Don't even look behind you, just back out of the driveway. No, please look. Please.
You have to look.
Like,
you have to look.
My grievance is against old people who just think that their life's over, so I might as well just not care. The person who might kill you because you're not caring, yeah, they're going to care.
So
your grievance is with the near trauma that you had to experience.
Yes,
of vehicular manslaughter.
That and the fact that I'm a lifelong basketball player, basketball fan. That unnerved me so much, seeing that grandma just walk across her grandson's basketball game and interrupt the fast break layup. And there was one of the kids, they're probably like 8, 9, 10 years old, throws his hands up like, "What are you doing?"
I'm going to defend the old people here for just one second, because I'm getting old, and there have been moments that, man, when you get older and you got to go, you just have to go. So I probably would run across, and I'm just speaking from, I'm not old, but I'm at an age where sometimes the bathroom situation is precarious. So, but I get the old thing. I actually was my ex mother-in-law lived in a retirement community in Florida, actually not too far from where Sean is, and she every day we spent some time at her house one year, and every day there would be something in the news about someone had slammed their car into a building, and every single time the people would say, "I don't know what happened. I put my foot on the brake, and the accelerator just kept going."
Yeah,
and what it is they think they're pushing on the brake and they're pushing on the accelerator. So yeah, I'm not a fan of older people driving. So,
well, we are 10 years away from none of us having to drive, and everyone just sitting down in self-driving cars. So I guess thanks a lot, Elon. That'll be the problem that gets fixed soonest. All of our grievances aired.
Hey, I'm scared to drive in Utah as it is right now. It's combat driving where it is. Sean, I hope you enjoy your time in Orlando, and tell Mickey Mouse I said hello, and have fun tonight at the fights.
All right, tune in. It'll be 7 o'clock on ESPN2 for the first fights, and then 9 o'clock for the main card on ESPN2. So tune into PFL, and again, thank you guys for having me on my show.
Always a pleasure, and glad to help you out. So take care, and we'll chat with you soon. All right, there you have it, Sean O'Connell, the namesake of the show. It's nice of Sean to tune in. It's kind of hard sometimes when you're focused on something else, and so it's always good to get a few minutes. Very funny grievances, by the way. Loved them all, and so this is really good stuff.
Scott, I feel like old person who crop dusts is another one of those you should care a little bit more. But anyway,
well, an old person crop dusting, there may not be an ability to stop that from happening.
Yeah, that's a good point. That one is the least egregious of the kind of you should care a little bit more about what's going on around you than what I brought up in my grievance. By the way, we love old people.
Of course we do.
Just care a little bit more. Have a little bit more awareness of what's going on around you as best you can. That's my PSA.
We love old people more than we love kickers. We'll put it there. No, I'm kidding. No,
I think we just got a text from the same guy. The hate for old people is unreal.
I'm sure.
Just kidding.
I wouldn't be surprised by it. All right, let's take a break. We come back. We got some topical trivia here to end the show, so you don't want to miss that. We're going to give a bunch of stuff away. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 700-921 FM. All righty, sports fans, welcome back. It is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Of course, you can listen live to the program streaming on ESPN700sports.com, ESPN 700 the app, or you can get your smart speaker to tell it to play ESPN 700. We're on YouTube at ESPN 700 Sports Utah, and of course, podcast at ESPN700sports.com and the ESPN 700 app.
If you want
search the Sean O'Connell Show and you can get it.
If you want to see Scott Mitchell's dance moves at the start of each show, you can go back and watch it at ESPN 700 Sports Utah on YouTube. Just go to the live section.
And I start the show off with all my clothes on, and depending on how the show goes, maybe some of or all of my clothes come off. Who knows? Tune in and find out. All right, should we do a little topical trivia right now? You're gonna win 2 tickets to Breaking Benjamin on September 27th at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater, plus 18 holes of golf at Stonebridge. That's part of our Festival of Trees, brought to you by the Utah Golf Association. So, topical trivia. We had Ann Ligori on earlier, and she talked a lot about golf. She talked about the president.
Yes, she's had a lot of interactions with our president.
Yeah, she can name drop with the best of them.
Yeah,
she knows a lot of famous people, and of course, she was with the president before he was president at a certain hotel in New York City, and he let her know a day before that he was going to run for president of the United States. What is, for your chance to win the ticket? Well, no, to win the tickets in the golf. What is the name of the hotel that she mentioned that now President Donald Trump told her that that he was going to run for president? That's our topical trivia for the day.
And she said she was floored by it, as I think most of us were.
Of course, yes. I think I'm going to run for president. Text that in to 877-353-0700, and you will win. So let us know. Spence, no crosstalk today. Spence is actually live at the shops at Southtown. 10450 South State Street in Sandy for the Homestead Stakes truck sale. So go say hi to Spence. I might just pop in and annoy Spence for a few minutes.
Yeah, you're going for the...
It's kind of on my way home.
You're going for the Homestead Stakes, though, not to say hi to Spence, right?
Well, of course. If there's food, I'm involved. That should about do it for that. So, again, Martin Kelly, the producer of my show, The Down and Dirty, which you can hear on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM, at 10 o'clock in the morning, right between Dan Patrick and Sean O'Connell Show. He always likes to ask me questions, very curious about my experience as a professional athlete. And he said, is there anything about the game that you miss?
Oh.
And I don't, I think, yes. The answer definitely is yes.
And
the answer is
too
actually
long a list to
it's like I
count, right?
There's not really one thing. So the funniest thing that I think you might be surprised at is I love practice. I miss practice. I miss the process of preparing for a game and for a season. I had a really it was really smart, but it was also really fun. This routine and this process of preparing to play every season. That was just really fun. I'd buy 50 footballs, and I'd use them through the off season. So I just I just had 2 big giant bags of footballs, and as I worked through my drills, I'd throw into a net, and it was just really fun. I miss that. I know everyone says, "Oh man, I miss the guys. I miss the locker room. I miss the camaraderie," and you do. It's really fun when you run into, or like what I'm doing. I get to talk to former teammates or former people that played or even current players today, because they're not any different, and so you do really miss that. But the physical side of it, the physical preparation, I miss. And then I'm going to tell you, James, there is nothing better, nothing more exciting than throwing a touchdown in an NFL game. Like it is a really it will electrify your body. and it does these really funny things, and all of the chemical, when they talk about your juices flowing, I don't know what they all are. I just know they're amazing when it happens. And on top of it, to do that in a situation where you win the game, like that just sends it 2 times 10 million. It's just an incredible moment, and it's the most pure exhilaration, excitement, joy that I think you can experience as an athlete, because joy to me personally and spiritually is different than that kind of joy. Yeah. But man, I'm just going to tell you what,
the adrenaline filled,
oh my goodness,
joy of throwing a touchdown pass,
and you know what, you get stupid like that. That's why you see these crazy celebrations, and that's why people, the ones who just tell them no, you can't do that celebration, I don't think they've ever had that exhilaration go through their body, because you just do dumb things. Not. You really do, and you want to do dumb things, and the dumber things you can do, you do, because there's just. Everything is stripped away at that point. There's no decorum. There's no consideration. There's no anything, and you just lose your mind for a brief period of time. I never fault anyone for their celebration. I don't. I mean, you get mad when the other team wins, and you hate the celebration, but the celebration is more out of what's happening in their body than kind of an affront to you or to show you up or whatever. It's just pure excitement, and you just can't help yourself. You just can't. And I miss that. There's nothing replaces that. Like you can't. And now I don't take drugs, never had taken drugs, but the natural drug that you get from competing in sports and that excitement is just, wow, it's unbelievable. Really
yeah.
is.
I mean, I can't relate from playing sports at even that high of a level, but for me, playing basketball, it was in any kind of competitive situation, hitting the game-winning three is just like I had the chance to do that in youth levels and in a little bit of lower level high school ball before, and that was, I feel like I felt some of that with not near as high as stakes, but I feel like I felt some of that as a basketball player. So I can't even imagine what it would be in an NFL game throwing a touchdown pass, especially a game-winning one, like you said. Just what goes through your body like that.
Competing in sports, you feel it, you really do. But boy, the thrill of the crowd, the whole thing, it's incredible. All right, well, this whole show, these last few days have been pure joy for me. Almost compares to throwing a touchdown in the NFL.
Almost compares.
Pretty close, yeah. It's been a lot of fun.
We'll take that as a win here at ESPN 792.1 FM.
Yep. Thank you for all you've done, James. You've been wonderful. Thank you, all you fans out there listening. Hope you have a great weekend, everyone. This is the Sean O'Connell Show here on ESPN 792.1 FM. Until then, we'll see you then.